Every single week, Canadians spend millions of dollars on butter brands they believe are pure, natural, and safe. But several of the most popular names on those shelves are hiding something the front of the package will never tell you. Some contain altered fat profiles from feedlot dairy. Others use processing methods that strip away the very nutrients you think you're getting. And a few are banking entirely on brand loyalty while quietly changing their formulas. So, before you grab that familiar yellow package at your next grocery run, do you actually know which Canadian butters are slowly working against your health and which ones are genuinely worth buying? Picture this. You're standing in the dairy aisle at your local Loblaws or Sobeys, and you reach for the butter without even thinking. The same brand your mom bought. The one with the clean white packaging and the words pure and natural printed right on the front. It feels safe. It feels Canadian. But what if that feeling is exactly what these companies are counting on? Let's start with Lactantia. This is probably the most recognized butter brand in the country. You've seen it everywhere. The white and gold box, the promise of purity, the friendly Canadian dairy logo. Lactantia markets itself as a premium product, and millions of Canadians pay premium prices for it without a second thought. But here's where things get uncomfortable. Lactantia butter, like most conventional Canadian butter, comes from cows raised in confinement operations, where the feed is primarily grain and corn, not grass. Why does that matter? Because what a cow eats directly changes what ends up in her milk and in your butter. Grass-fed butter is naturally higher in a fat called CLA, conjugated linoleic acid, which has been linked to better heart health and lower inflammation. Grain-fed butter, significantly lower CLA, significantly different fat profile. When you pick up that Lactantia box and read pure creamery butter, you're getting a technically accurate statement that tells you almost nothing about how that butter was actually made. The word pure just means it hasn't been mixed with other ingredients. It says nothing about the diet of the cow, the quality of the fat, or the nutritional value sitting inside that foil wrapper. You're paying for a brand. You're paying for the box. And Lactantia knows that. Now walk 2 steps to the left in that same dairy aisle, and you'll spot Gay Lee. Bright red packaging, proud cooperative branding, and a long Canadian heritage story baked right into its identity. Gay Lea is a farmer-owned cooperative, which sounds great on the surface, and it genuinely is a more ethical business model than a large multinational. But ethical business structure and high butter quality are 2 different conversations. Gay Lee's standard butter, including their salted and unsalted varieties, is produced from the same conventional grain-fed dairy system as most of their competitors. And here's something a lot of people don't notice until they look closely. Gay Lee's spreadable butter line contains added canola oil. Canola oil is processed with heat and chemical solvents, and mixing it into butter dramatically changes the product you think you're buying. You pick up a tub labeled with Gay Lee's trusted red logo. You assume you're getting Canadian butter, and you bring home something that is only partly butter, with an industrially processed vegetable oil blended in to make it softer at fridge temperature. The regular block butter is cleaner, but the spreadable versions, which are increasingly what families grab, are a very different product masquerading inside a very familiar brand. And most shoppers never notice the difference until someone like me points it out. 2 brands down, 6 more to go, and it only gets harder from here. Beco plant-based butter has exploded in Canadian grocery stores over the last few years, riding the wave of plant-based everything. The branding is sleek, the messaging is confident, and the product positions itself as a guilt-free alternative to dairy butter. But flip that tub over and read the ingredient list out loud. You'll find water, modified palm and palm kernel oil, modified sunflower oil, salt, sunflower lecithin, natural flavor, and a string of additives designed to mimic the texture and taste of real butter. Modified oils are oils that have been chemically altered to behave differently at different temperatures. Natural flavor is a catch-all term that can hide dozens of compounds. And palm oil, even when certified sustainable, carries its own environmental and health debates. B-cell plant-based butter is not a healthy food. It is a highly engineered food product dressed in wellness language. Canadians looking to make better choices are being quietly pointed in the wrong direction by a brand with a decades-long reputation for heart health marketing. Then there's Natural. Natural is owned by AgroPur, one of Canada's largest dairy cooperatives, and their butter is widely available coast to coast. Natural leans heavily into its fine-filtered and lactose-free product lines, creating an impression of superior quality and careful processing. But their standard butter blocks, the ones most families actually buy, come from the same conventional supply chain as everyone else on this list. The fine-filtered marketing applies to their milk products, not necessarily the fat profile or sourcing standards of their butter. It's a brand architecture trick. Dress part of your lineup in premium language, and the premium feeling bleeds across everything wearing the same logo. Natural butter is not bad butter, but it is ordinary butter being sold at a price that suggests it's something more. In a market where real premium butter exists, paying extra for the natural name on a conventional product is a gap between perception and reality that costs Canadian families real money every single week. Here's where the pattern stops feeling like a coincidence and starts feeling like a system. The brands in this act aren't the obvious villains. They're the ones that look like they're doing everything right. The artisan appearance, the Canadian pride, the slightly higher price tag that signals quality. But signals and reality are two different things, and this is where careful shoppers need to pay the closest attention. Sterling Creamery comes dressed like a premium product. The packaging feels old-fashioned in the best way, like something your grandmother would have trusted. It's made in Ontario, it's been around for decades, and it carries that quiet confidence of a brand that doesn't need to shout. But Sterling Creamery sources from conventional Canadian dairy herds, which means grain-fed cows and a fat profile that doesn't justify its premium shelf positioning. When you compare Sterling butter side by side with Lactantia in terms of sourcing and nutritional composition, the differences are marginal at best. What you're largely paying for with Sterling is the aesthetic, the heritage feel, the artisan suggestion, the slightly fancier box. If you're already spending more expecting more, you deserve to know that the extra money is mostly buying you a story, not a meaningfully different product. And then there's President's Choice Butter, the store brand from Loblaws companies, Canada's largest food retailer. PC Butter is interesting because it does exactly the opposite of Sterling. It makes no pretense of being premium. It's affordable, it's accessible, and the blue label has earned trust across millions of Canadian households as a reliable, no-nonsense option. But reliable and high quality are not the same thing. PC Butter is sourced from conventional dairy, packaged efficiently, and priced to move. And at that price point, there's very little room for quality sourcing, careful production, or anything beyond. The legal minimum definition of butter. Independent taste comparisons and texture observations consistently show PC butter to be softer, more prone to separation when melted, and less rich in flavor than genuinely high-quality alternatives. It melts differently in a pan. It browns faster and less evenly. These are small details that home bakers notice immediately. The price is right. But if you've ever wondered why your baked goods don't taste quite as good as they should, the butter is often the answer. And PC butter, as convenient as it is, may be quietly holding your cooking back. We've spent a lot of time in the dark. Now, let's turn the lights on. Before the safe picks, let's finish the avoid list, because two more brands need to be named. Chapman's Butter despite the beloved Canadian ice cream reputation the Chapman's name carries, produces a butter product that rides almost entirely on brand affection rather than quality distinction. Canadians trust Chapman's because of their ice cream, and that trust gets transferred to their dairy products without much scrutiny. The butter is conventional, unremarkable, and benefits almost entirely from the halo of a beloved Canadian brand that has nothing to do with butter quality. And Western Family Butter, widely found in independent and Western Canadian grocery chains, rounds out the avoid list as another conventional, grain-fed, low-differentiation product that offers nothing beyond basic compliance with Canadian butter standards. Both of these products are safe to eat in the sense that they meet regulatory requirements. But in a world where genuinely good butter exists and is accessible in Canada, settling for either of these is a choice made mostly out of habit. So what should you actually buy? The first safe pick is Organic Meadow. This is a Canadian-owned organic dairy cooperative, and their butter is certified organic, which means the cows producing the milk are required to have access to pasture and are not fed conventionally grown, pesticide-treated grain. Organic Meadow butter has a noticeably deeper yellow color than most conventional butters. That color comes from beta-carotene in the grass the cows eat, and it's one of the easiest visual cues that you're holding a genuinely better product. It smells richer, it tastes creamier, and the fat profile, while not as high in CLA as 100% grass-fed European butters, is meaningfully better than anything else widely available in Canadian grocery stores. You can find Organic Meadow at most major chains, including Loblaws, Metro, and many health food retailers. The price is higher, but you are actually getting something different for that extra dollar. The second safe pick is Bothwell Cheese and Butter, a Manitoba-based company with a long and serious reputation for dairy quality. Bothwell sources carefully, produces with attention to craft, and their butter reflects it in texture, color, and flavor. It's less widely distributed than Organic Meadow, but increasingly available at specialty grocers and some larger chains in Western and Central Canada. If you can find it, buy it. This is a company that genuinely cares about what goes into the product, and that care shows up in the butter you spread on your morning toast. The third safe pick requires a short trip to the cheese and specialty section of a well-stocked grocery store. Isigny Sainte-Mère, a French butter cooperative with AOC designation, which is the highest quality certification in French dairy, is available at many Canadian retailers, including Costco locations and specialty food stores. It is made from the milk of cows that graze on the rich pastures of Normandy, France, and it has an 84% butterfat content compared to the standard Canadian 80%. That 4% difference is enormous in flavor, richness, and performance in baking. When you taste it, you will understand immediately why butter quality matters. Here's how to identify real quality in any butter, anywhere. Look for a deep yellow color, a high butterfat percentage above 82%, organic or pasture-raised certification, and a short, clean ingredient list with nothing beyond cream and salt. Those 4 markers will steer you right every single time. You now know more about Canadian butter than most people ever will. Share this video with someone who still grabs that familiar yellow box without thinking. Drop a comment telling me which butter you've been using and whether you're going to switch. And if you want more hard-hitting food investigations like this one, subscribe, because there's a lot more in your grocery cart that deserves a closer look.